Friends, I am beyond excited today. I know I say I'm excited a lot, but today I mean it even more than normal because we get to talk to someone who I've actually known since he was a teenager and watched him grow and watched his career blossom and then explode. And now there is a major motion picture about the story of his whole family, his dad and he and all his siblings. He's one of seven. And maybe you know that I'm talking about the Smallbone family. You might know Rebecca St. James, who is the oldest sister, and also Joel and Luke, who together are the band called King and Country Spectacular. So guess what? They have made a movie of their family and just their history, their story, how they moved from Australia, came to Nashville to be part of the Christian music industry. This is their challenging, beautiful story. This movie, I've seen it. I loved it. It was beautiful. It spoke to me. It made me cry. All the things. So stay tuned because we're going to talk to Luke, one of the brothers who is Luke and Joel are in King and Country. And he also is a producer on this film. And he's the one who took it to Lionsgate. And so it's a major motion picture. I'm so excited. Stay tuned for this chat with Luke Smallbone. My name is Jean Thomason, and this is Momentum Influencers Network. Okay, I'm so excited, y'all, because here we are in the studio today in Franklin, Tennessee, with one of our own homeboy. Now he's a homeboy in Franklin. He didn't used to be, and you will find out about his amazing story and how great it is to have Luke Smallbone in our studio today to talk about the new movie called Unsung Hero, which kind of focuses on his mom, but really it's about the whole family. So Luke, welcome today. So excited to have you. What in the world is it like to see your whole life in cinema on the big screen? That must be crazy.
Yeah. Oh well, thank you first and foremost for just being willing to have
Absolutely.
me as a part of this. It's a real treat, and that's not lost on us that you could have anyone. So thank you for taking the time for to spend with me. But yes, originally born in Australia. Hopefully, you can still tell. It is
Yes.
true that you Americans have jacked up my accent, so thanks for that. But born in Australia, my dad was a concert promoter in Australia, and one particular tour that he brought back to Australia, we lost everything we had as a family. We lost the house, the car, the life savings, and so he was looking for a fresh start for his career and for the family. And he got a job offer in Nashville, Tennessee, and he thought it would be a good idea to move his six kids and his wife, who was 6 months pregnant at the time, and that's exactly what we did. But soon after we arrived in America, my dad actually lost that job, and so we're straight on the other side of the world. No friends, no family. We were sleeping on beds made out of clothes. Didn't have any way for our little sister to be born in a hospital. Weren't always quite sure where the next meal was going to come from. Didn't have a car. The list went on and on and on. And so I've shared some semblance of that story at pretty much every one of our shows as for King and Country for the last 11, 12 years. And I've had a lot of people come up and say, hey, man, I mean, you guys should really write a book about this. It's a fascinating story. And the truth is, Joel and I, we were homeschooled, so we don't read or write very well. And so we thought, you know what, let's make a movie instead. And so I called up a producer friend of mine and just said, hey, man, what about this story? I've told it a lot, and it really impacts people. And so we put it into development. And really, the heartbeat behind the film is this: I believe in the power of family. I think that family is more important today than it ever has been in the history of the world. But we do not value family as such. And there's a quote that Mother Teresa said that if you want to change the world, go home and love your family. And if there was a thesis statement and a purpose behind the film, it's found in that statement.
I saw that statement on the screen, showed it to my husband, and it still is bringing tears to my eyes. And I just want to thank you for creating a piece of art that is true, but it speaks to that very issue. So through this film, you as a producer, by the way, congratulations on that. What was it like to be behind the camera instead of always in front of the camera?
It's interesting. My story in art and music is fascinating. I'm the least likely person to have the occupation that I have. I grew up wanting to kind of be behind the scenes. I grew up doing that most of my life. I'm not the most yeah, if in high school they're like the most likely to do, X, it certainly wasn't the most likely to be a musician or be in music. That would not be my phrase. And so, in some cases, doing producing's fun because you're dealing with all the big issues, and then you get on set, and in some cases, you've set the table, and everybody else goes out and does their thing, but you're a part of the story. You're a part of creating something. You're a part of putting the deals together. You're a part of it. It was my idea to kind of come and suggest this in the first place. So in some cases, to be able to dream a dream and to be able to see it actually take place. That's one of the real gifts that I've felt. I felt really honored to be a part of it. I'm really honored that all of the people. I mean, it takes hundreds and hundreds of people to do these things. That they would rally behind something like this. That is not lost on me, and I'm really, really thankful and grateful that this story that I hope will impact people. I hope people will leave and say, "Hey, I want to be a better dad. I want to be a better mother. I want to be a better brother and sister," because we're all a part of a family, and we all have a role. Even at college, those roommates, those people, they become like your family. We have a role to play, every single one of us, and I just want people to make sure that they realize that role is incredibly important and will shape the future generations and will shape the world.
That is so good. You know what? One of the things as a mother myself and both my children have ended up being in the music and arts industry as songwriter or costumer. My husband's a producer. I'm an artist. And so as I watched your family, I could identify with so much of the collaboration and the way that all your gifts, though varied, and especially what I loved at the end when you show all the stories of you and your siblings in real life, what everyone is doing. I loved how God used your family dynamic, especially because your mama, the unsung hero, as we say
Yeah.
down here, was able to encourage each of you in your own giftings.
Yeah, man, mom and dad were pretty big on like if you
Yeah.
got an interest, let's throw some gasoline on the interest and
That's
to
great.
see you see what happens, And so we were, my brother Ben got a camera, pretty young. Maybe he was, 16, 15, 16. A camera that was a nice camera. I probably didn't have any right having that camera in some cases, and they did that. They also just gave us an awful lot of responsibility very young. And that's something that I think has been really key for us. If you start doing something, I think there's a lot of parents out there that kind of fall for, well, you're only really an adult or can really contribute after high school. Well, the truth is if you were to start that process much earlier, just think about where your kids can be when they're 18, 19, 20. And I'm living proof of that. I was somehow a lighting director at 14 or 15. And I mean, I remember running a spotlight at 9 or 10, and really, really young. And my parents believed that we could do these things. And the truth is if you can teach your kids to take ownership of the talents and the things that God's given them, and to not, I mean, in the Bible it says, don't look down on yourself because you're young, but set an example for people. I hope that people will see this. And look, we're not a perfect family. I mean, you can see in the film we're pretty jacked up as it is, but it's a family that does still love each other, that does care for each other. I think the number one thing that people need to learn in families is how to forgive. And if you can forgive in your family will always remain intact.
What a beautiful scene where your father asked all of you to forgive him and especially turned to your sister Rebecca and encouraged her and asked her forgiveness. It was very special. And it came through in a powerful way from the screen. Just for me, I know, but that was marvelous. Plus, I loved what Eddie DeGarmo said about your father, that he was the hardest working man he knew, and that of course he should manage your sister Rebecca. So talk about how hardworking your dad was.
Hey, man, still to this day, I mean, he's
Yeah.
74. One of my great dreams, and one of the things that I positioned to the producer in LA was I said, "Hey, I want to make this film while my parents are here." My dad's 74, and you don't know what that looks like. You don't know if you've got, and none of us do, but when you get to your mid 70s, you don't know if you've got another 20 years, if you got another 10, if you got another few days. You don't know what that looks like. But I wanted him, and I wanted my mom, I wanted them to be a part of this story. I wanted them to see it. I wanted them to know that the invisible things that they did mattered. That's one of the things I think that we struggle with in this generation is we think that unless we're doing something on a stage or a platform or a lot of people care about it, then our purpose and the things that we do don't matter. And I think that's a lie. I think it's a lot of the things that if you want to know where the power is in life, it's the things that you do when nobody's looking. Those are the things. That's where the power is. If you get those things right, you'll do very, very well. And I think for our father, when nobody was looking, man, he was willing to, rake leaves and mow lawns to provide for his family. He would do anything. He's still to this day, an extremely hard worker. And our hope is that that's something that he's taught us is to that you're never too big to plow the ground. You're never too small to plow the ground, and everybody, you're never too important. And I think my hope is that he sees in us a little bit of himself, but more than that, I want him to see that this film and the role that he played and the example that he set was one that will be remembered for generations to come.
Talk really quickly about your mom, just and the fact that you titled it Unsung Hero, because clearly you wanted to honor the way that she helped persevere, especially her prayer life. Can you talk about that?
Look, our mother is there's seven kids in the family. For those of you who don't know, there's my older sister Rebecca, and then there's five boys, and then there's our younger sister. And if, for the most part, when she walks into a room and all of her sons are there, they will walk up there and give her a kiss on the cheek. We still have this great reverence and love for her. My mom did, as I kind of said before, she did the unseen, invisible, life-changing work. And I think for us, if it wasn't for the way that mom taught us, I remember my mom. One of my favorite things that I'm trying to teach my kids is I remember being pretty young and she would, if it was a baseball game and it got rained out or going to a best friend's house and someone got sick and it fell through, she would come to us and she would come to me and she'd say, "Luke, are you disappointed?" And I'd say, "Yeah, I mean, I really wanted to go play or, I wanted to go spend that time." And she would say, "It's very good to learn how to overcome disappointment." And those are just the types of things that mom was always teaching us. Those are the types of and here's the thing, it's one thing to say it, but it's another thing to live it. And part of the reason why I share that story is if you look at the movie, think about all the disappointment. And she actually lived through, hey, I'm going to figure out a way to turn disappointment into a moment. In some cases, they were fun moments. That's another thing that most people don't realize. It was fun being a kid in that household. Even though we were poor and sleeping on beds made out of clothes, we had fun. And mom really lived that statement. It's good to learn how to overcome disappointment.
So beautiful. Well, I feel like I know you so much better now, even having lived in the same city and knowing your family and kind of watching the careers of your sister, and then of course of King and Country, and all the things that you as a family, as the Smallbone family, have done to impact our generation and our world with the gospel through the music that you create. I want to thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for all the music that you create, all the people who are pulled closer to the Lord Jesus through what you have done it musically, and now with Unsung Hero, this great movie. And so please tell our watchers where they can find it, how they can see it for themselves.
Yeah. So the film comes out April 26th. The film is called Unsung Hero. UnsungHeroMovie.com is where to go. And it is one of those things, to everyone that watches, film is interesting. You have about 72 hours to make a difference. Music, you kind of have 2 years, and so this is a moment for us to say, we actually need your help. This is not something that passivity and being passive in some of these things is not something that we're really afforded at this point. So, be a part of it if you can. You got a group of people you want to take to the theater, buy out a movie theater. People think of a buyout as like, oh, it's 500 seats. No, most movie theaters are just 40 or 50. And maybe you got a small business and you just want to treat people to something that might infuse some of the things that you try to teach people at your business. Hopefully this film can play a role in that and be a part of doing so. Those are the types of things that really help and move the needle, particularly for Hollywood. Like I said, whoever thought that Hollywood would make a family movie the way that we're making it? That's because they believe that they can make money off of it. So we need to try to help them prove that they actually can.
Yes, vote with your dollar. That's what I love that people say, vote with your dollar. in the theaters. Luke, thank you. Unsungheromovie.com, right?
Yep, that's right.
Great. So we are thrilled for you. Bravo. Congratulations. Thanks be to God. And
That's
we
right.
are praying with you that many people will be impacted for faith, family, community, prayer, all the things that are in this movie. And we are honored to talk to you today. And we're your cheerleaders. You don't know us well, but we are excited for you. God bless you.
All right,
Thank you,
thank you.
Luke.
Thank you for the time. Appreciate you. Thanks for the kind words.